Hey, Wixman Ray here. Hey, we're going to do our world tour of weather. We're going to start doing this weekly. So I thought I'd mix it up and do this for you guys. Anyways, hey, I got this satellite going on. This is an infrared satellite going on, and we're looking at Africa here. So there's the boot of Africa. I think that's what they call it. And then we got South Africa down here. And this is Madagascar. So we're seeing some thunderstorms across Africa here. It is summertime down there in the southern hemisphere. The equator sits about right in this area. And then we got some storms out over the Indian Ocean here. And this is actually a tropical cyclone. That's been there for at least a week. Forgot the name of it, but it's down near the bottom of Madagascar, bringing some storms and rain down in that part of the world. So yeah, so that's what's going on down there. If you care about that, um, this is just looking at the surface observations. We don't have radar overlays for that, but yeah, they're getting some winds down near that cyclone, 20, 30 miles an hour winds from the east, and it's in the 60s and 70s. It's getting dark out there. I think it's probably about I don't know. I think it's 7 or 8 o'clock at night out there, maybe a little later. But the sun's gone down out there, and you can see it's pretty warm out there in the 70s. And they got that a thunderstorm here at Kigali. Um, that's Burundi. No, this is part of Rwanda. Yeah, it tells me some of these countries. That's Tanzania, Kenya's over here, Angola, Zambia. Yeah, so, and then the closer you get to the equator, the warmer it is. It's in the 80s back here. Looks like they got some dust and sand in the air out there. They have had some storms going through the northern part of Africa. Yeah, they got some dust out there in parts of Mali and Burkina Faso. I think that's how you say that. Yeah, lots of different countries out there in Africa. So, yeah, so that's what's going on in that part of the world. We'll kind of tour you up north here now. So now we're looking at this is where Egypt is, and unfortunately, this satellite doesn't allow me to put the political boundaries down for where the countries are. But this is North Africa. That's Spain. Italy's right here, and this is Saudi Arabia and Iraq and Turkey and Iran's over here or over here. I think. Yeah, that's Iran. So yeah, so we got looks like there's a front going through the eastern, yeah, the eastern part of the Mediterranean here down into North Africa. And then there's a storm up here. That looks like that's going up into Russia. That's the Caspian Sea, I believe. That's the Black Sea there. And I don't know what this is called here, but big lake or sea. But yeah, there's a storm moving out there, and that's that storm that was out over Italy, I believe, 2 days ago. So. And then there's a storm going down here. This is India, so that's going, I think that's Afghanistan and Pakistan down here. And hey, so you see this big white thing here? This is the Tibetan Plateau. And the reason why it's showing up white, because it's night over there. And this winter, this is part of the northern hemisphere over here. And the average altitude or elevation out there is like almost 15,000 feet. I mean, this Tibetan plateau is very high up. So, not a lot of observations can be found out there. I'll show you that here in a little while. But there are a lot of herdsmen, and I read a little bit about this place. I've never been there, but very remote areas. Yeah, but there are some towns and people that live out here. I think it's 5 million people live in Tibet, and this whole this is part of China, I believe. So, but yeah, that's a whole giant plateau. That's a huge area north of India here, and then Bangladesh, I believe, is right there. So yeah, so that's what that is. So, and then back towards Europe, looks like there's a front going through Italy and up towards Croatia area. This part of the southeast part of Europe there. looks like another front going through, pushing through Poland there, and into those Eastern Bloc countries over here, like Estonia, Latvia. Yeah, but I'll show you another satellite view of that. So we'll scroll on up here back to North Africa. Yeah, relatively, it's nighttime out there, 60s and 70s. Not seeing much in the way of weather, really. Mostly clear out there. Here's some evidence of those clouds that was going through this general area, but looks like, yeah, there's a rain shower in Turkey, so with that storm. Looks like a little bit of winds up here. This is up at some site in Turkey. They're getting some strong southerly winds. So yeah, and then this is Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. And I don't know what this tiny Azir. I never even heard of that country. But yeah, these are all these countries. This is Caspian Sea and Black Sea. So yeah, and then this up here is part of. So I think that's part of Russia because this is Ukraine over here, and then Kazakhstan, and then all the other ZAN countries: Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. I don't know how to pronounce that. Turkmenistan, and then Afghanistan, and then you got Pakistan here. Yeah, it looks like they've got some. They got some thunder out there in Pakistan. Yeah, there was a little storm. Looks like some smoke out there at these two sites in Pakistan. Something's going on. I don't know if they're burning fields or something else is burning. Some rain there. That's in Iran. Yeah. So, and then some various rain showers up in here. So, yeah, that's what's going on in that part of the world. Let's go here. So yeah, and then down here we got a lot of storms. It's pretty active here. This is Indonesia down here, and I believe that's Thailand and Malaysia. Let's go scroll over there and tell you if I'm correct. Yeah, Malaysia's the bottom, and this is what is this strip of land? I don't know I think this is Thailand here. This Cambodia, yeah, Thailand. So this is part of Thailand. Then this section is, I don't know what, that's Burma. Okay. Yeah, and then you've got Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos over here. Very warm over there. Look at that. I mean, even for the winter time, it's 70s and 80s, but they're not too far from the equator down there. But this time of year is not the monsoon season. You can kind of see that it's pretty dry up here. And that's because in the winter, the land's cooler than the ocean, so the general prevailing flow across this area is from the land to the sea, and so all the moisture, that's, you get more storms out over the water. And in the summer it gets really warm up and through this whole area, and that draws the moisture up through here, and that's why they get the monsoon. They call it the Asian monsoon in the summertime, and that's why you see on Forrest Gump when he was in Vietnam, it's raining all the time. But yeah, this part of the country gets lots of rain in the summer. So that's how it works. It's the wind flow because of the temperature differences between the land and the ocean. Okay, enough of that. Let's get you to another part of the world. Let's show you Europe real quick. Actually, we'll do the Himawari. This will show you out down here to Australia. We'll do this. So, yeah, so this is Indonesia, Papua New Guinea. I forget what these are called. I don't know what they're called, to be honest. This is the Philippines. That's Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos and Thailand and Malaysia over here. This is okay, I'm having a brain fart. I'll remember. That's Taiwan right there. And then this is Korea and Japan. So looks like we got a front out over the open, over the eastern part of, or western part of the Pacific out here, North Pacific. Low pressure up here near the bottom of Kamchatka. Looks like a little system going through north of North Korea. North Korea kind of sits here, so I think is that part of Mongolia or Russia? I can't remember. I can't tell. But yeah, Here's that Tibetan Plateau. You can see it out here, and then this is all of China down in here. So, yeah, so pretty quiet. Not a lot of weather over China right now, and even back here. And yeah, um, then you got your storms going on over here over the intertropical convergence zone. Got Australia down here. Looks like a big storm system in this big bay, or I don't know what this bay is called. We'll have to look that up. Looks like a little system of some thunderstorms out here through Australia. So this kind of shows you it a little bit. So this is the southern hemisphere. So it's summer down here. So this land down here gets warmer. And so you get a lot more thunderstorm and rain activity over this part, especially the northern half of Australia, because all these the land gets really hot. I mean, it gets up over 100 out here in the outback and the deserts out here, and so that draws in moisture from all around because they're surrounded by this warm tropical ocean. So you get a lot of thunderstorms out here in the summertime in various areas, the northern half. The southern half here is a little cooler, and that's because, you're farther south, like we say farther north here, farther south, you're getting closer to Antarctica, and this is where the colder air is going to be is down here. But it looks like there's a cold front kind of going through the bottom of Australia here. Kind of goes like this. That's Tasmanian Devil Land, or Tasmania as they call it. Yeah. And then this is New Zealand. Looks like another frontal. Looks like this is a low spinning just offshore of the south part of the country, and a front that kind of swings out this way towards the tropical islands out here. This is, I believe, where Fiji and Tahiti and Tonga, all those islands are somewhere in there. I'm not real I'm not the expert on the geography there, but it's that general part of the world. Yeah, but yeah, nothing too crazy active. This is something maybe I don't know if they're watching this for tropical development, but that might be something they might maybe keeping an eye on. Let's scroll on down over there. As can be expected through this is Papua New Guinea, that whole Indonesia area, very warm and humid, 70s and 80s. That's about how it is most of the year. Yeah, it's summer down there, so you can see 80s, 70s, even in the middle of Australia, the dew point's 70. So, like I told you, that moisture's going way inland, 75 dew points. That means it's very humid out here, and that's why you're seeing some storms out there. And as it gets to be daytime, if it's unstable, you'll see more storms popping. But yeah, look at that 80, 70, very warm and humid. And it's pretty humid. Then you start getting down here, Melbourne. See, you got the colder ocean, so the dew points are in the 50s and 60s. So not quite as humid down here. And so, but yeah, this northern half of the country gets a lot of that rain and humidity and those storms in the summertime. Pretty warm down there in Tasmania, 70. A lot of times when I'm looking, it's in the 60s, but they're getting winds from this direction, which is from the warmer part of the world. So yeah, there's some rain there at Christchurch. So yeah, that front, that low pressure that was there is bringing them some rain, and then 70s as you get up towards Auckland. So yeah, so that's what's going on down there. All right, and then let's see, that's as far as I can go. Okay, we'll look at one other thing, and then we'll probably wind this thing up here. We'll look over at Europe real quick here. So I'm changing my satellites here. All right, so now we're looking at, so this is the Atlantic, the intertropical convergence zone. Not too active this time of year. You get a few storms there, but not as active as you would probably see in the summer. And you get some stuff out here over the water. But you can see all that stuff that I told you about in Africa. Pretty quiet down here. This is South America. You got a couple frontal systems out over the open water. No biggie. But going back north, so yeah, it looks like you got a pretty good storm out over the Atlantic here. This is a cold front. The warm front extends, kind of stretching up close to France and Spain. This is France and Spain right there. And then a low pressure. This is the UK and Ireland and Scotland, that whole area. It looks pretty quiet there right now until this storm comes in. And it looks like you got a storm over Germany, some some sort of storm, and then that storm that was going over, it looks like it's over Italy, and or at least southern Italy into the southeast Europe. Yeah, and then something's going on down here. Not sure. Let's see if we can get our animation going and figure out what's going on up there. These look like high clouds to me. Yeah, so nothing too significant. But yeah, it looks like this one is probably going to be the next storm for the UK and parts of Northern Europe probably. Looks like the general pattern goes like this and then swoop. It's kind of what it looks like to me. Yep, something like that. Yeah. I'll show you another thing here. If you look at, we call this the water vapor. I think this would be a good one. Actually, maybe this shows it. Yeah, so sometimes you can see the upper level pattern. So the jet stream's probably somewhere right in this area. It sweeps out of the ocean over just near the UK over Northern Europe and then back towards Eastern, going towards Russia. So yeah. So yeah, sometimes when you see this too, that's drying. That could indicate there's probably a jet down here, or southern jet, as they call it. It's farther south from what this is normally called the polar front jet. Yeah. So, anyways, let's go back to our other thing. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, that's the satellite there, and this is infrared. This is all infrared. That other one was what they call water vapor. It shows you where the moisture is in the upper atmosphere. But the infrared shows you the cloud temperatures. But I don't have any colors on there on this one. So yeah, we're looking out over Europe, France. Yeah, you see, it's always pretty mild out there, 40s and 50s. We've got some rain out here, so yeah, we said it looked like there was some rain going on in this part of the world. So you got a little system going through Germany and France. As you go north, it's a little bit colder. They're in the 20s up here in Poland and northern Germany, up towards Denmark up here. The UK, London's 45, and then up north in the 30s. So. And they're getting a relatively clear. It's actually night over there now, clear night. That's not very common in the winter. It's usually cloudy, 200 days out of 201 days. Okay, and then we're down here in Italy. Yeah, you can see all that rain. There was that looks like a low pressure system down there, and you got some gusty winds here out over I think this is Sicily, right? This island. Anyways, in the southern part of Italy, some gusty winds. And then North Africa, we've already talked about that. Looks like some rain over in Turkey. Yeah, so we had this whole system here bringing some rain up by the Olympics there. Looks pretty clear at Milan, 45. It's night over there, but in the 40s, probably in the 30s over at the other side of Cortina. A little bit of winds, but that's higher up. This is up on a mountaintop, I believe. I don't know how high up that is. Up in the Alps there. All right, so that's probably. Is there anything else I want to show you? We'll show you up here. So this is over in Russia. So it's kind of cold up there, single digits, teens. Farther west though, it's a little warmer. Getting some snow back here in Russia. Up here, this is Finland, right? Yeah, Finland. A little chilly, teens. Looks like some overcast, low clouds. Looks like some snow showers way up north in Finland. Yeah, pretty cold, minus negatives and single digits and teens all through here. And then it gets 20s down here, but this whole area gets the effect of the North Sea and the Baltic Sea, so it stays relatively warmer. It's hard to get super cold there unless you get a air mass that comes straight out, like kind of a easterly. They're kind of getting that easterly flow out of Russia, but yeah. So, but yeah, they don't typically get like below zero there in Denmark. I'm sure it's happened before, but yeah, some gusty winds there. It must be some sort of system. This is Iceland over here. About 50-mile-an-hour winds over the open sea there. Yeah, yeah. Over this is Greenland. Getting some gusty winds there. Kulusuk. Okay. Yeah, it's chilly up there, -4 there, and some teens down here. So, yep, it's winter. All right. Is there anything else I want to show you? That's probably about it for the world. Let me just show you the north. Let's go to this. Yeah. No, that's not what I want. Yeah, this is a different color. This will show you what I'm looking at. So this is just an enhancement. So all these like color, you see the darker colors and the blues. These are thunderstorms out over. So this is parts of Brazil and South America. So a lot of storms because it's summer down there, and you're getting a lot of storms out over. And it's in what, late afternoon out there. Probably the sun's probably going to set here pretty soon, but yeah, they're at the peak heating of the day out there. So you're seeing thunderstorms, even some stuff down here. I think this is down, was that Uruguay, Paraguay area. And then you see some fronts. This is Argentina, but they're so far south they get the effects of these fronts from the Southern Ocean. And you can see that there's like one here, one off, that one's kind of on the edge of the globe, but pretty strong. Another one here, one here, one there, one there. One here, yeah. So, yeah, the Southern Ocean is always stormy. So, yeah. There's always those stories about the mariners that travel the Southern Ocean and how crazy it is to, navigate that ocean because it high, a lot of really rough seas, you know, lots of high waves and, wave action's crazy down there. So, pretty dangerous probably. So, looking at South America. So, yeah, a lot of 80s, 70s, tropical air mass out over Brazil, into the Amazon jungle area back here, Bolivia, Paraguay. Yeah, man, look at that. Yeah, so it is middle of the afternoon, 97 there, 99. So it's the heat of summer, 97. So it's hot. That's why you're seeing those thunderstorms all over, 93 there. So, yeah, it's still the heat of the afternoon there. What is it? It's about 2:30 here on the west side of the country. So yeah, they're probably 4 or 5 o'clock down there, I would say. Yeah, just looking. Yeah, maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So sun hasn't quite set. Heat of the day. So some gusty winds down here at this island. About 50 mile an hour winds. I don't remember. Is that the Falkland Islands? I don't know what those are called. They might be the Falkland Islands. Not familiar with what those are. Okay, so that's what's going on there. I hope you enjoyed the World Weather Tour. Before we end, let's look at what's going on out over Hawaii. I mean, just using this satellite, it looks like they're getting the northeast trades. Looks like they got a system way south and a front north of them. Looking up towards Alaska, pretty quiet. You can see so that you got like northerly flow, and so I know what's going on. There's an upper level ridge or high pressure over here, so it's drawing these storms up this way. So you got a low there, a low pressure there. These are fronts going up into the Bering and western part of Alaska and through the Aleutian Islands. So yeah, a little stormy there, but the eastern side, that means it's cold up here because it's pretty clear over most of the heart of Alaska. And it looks like there's a storm over southeast Alaska, so they might be getting rain or snow depending on the temperatures there. Yeah, and then here's our storm that we'll be talking about on our next video. So let me just show you what's going on over there in Hawaii. Yeah, a little gust, a little bit breezy out there for this is the main island, Honolulu, Oahu, and this is why am I having a brain fart? This is Kauai. I love Kauai. I've been there. Beautiful place. Yeah, if you haven't been there, it's like a tropical rainforest, and it's like that I think on all these islands. The eastern side, they get the northeast trade winds, so all that moisture and rain is on this side of the island, and then you got mountains all in through here, and then on this side it's almost like a desert. it's a lot drier. So you get like several different climates on a small island. It's pretty cool. If you haven't been to Hawaii, go there. It's a little expensive, but hey, it's worth it, man. Up in Alaska, like we were saying, yeah, Shemya has got some gusty winds. Yeah, rain out through here, so yeah, pretty active. Yeah, you're picking up some snow on the radar out here towards this is the Alaska Peninsula. We call it the Akpen, and this is Southwest Alaska. This is Togiak, and Dillingham sits right over here. I get, yeah, they're not showing up. Oh, yeah, it's right there. They're 17 degrees. Looks like this might be just flurries or maybe not even reaching the ground. So yeah, like I told you, Western Alaska, very windy. Look at that. 30, 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and looks like some snow up there. So yeah, and then where I told you, yeah, it's clear out here. So I mean, not super cold, but minus 13 up -7 for Fairbanks. A little light snow. 14 in Anchorage. So yeah, it's cold. Yeah, this is Wasilla, 20. Palmer's 12, if you know that part of the world. This is Elmendorf Air Force Base, 18. Eagle River sits right there. Yeah, I used to live there, so I know that area very well. So yeah, a little chilly, but not like minus 30s. Yeah, you got to go up here for the minus 20s up in the northern part, but pretty cold, but nothing like it was earlier in the winter. I think December and parts of January were like brutal cold up there. Fairbanks, I heard, got to minus 65 one day. Okay, well, we've gone on and on. So stay tuned here. We'll be coming out with our weather for the United States here in a little bit. But I hope you enjoyed the World Weather Tour. I think that's what I'll call it, something like that. This is Wixman Ray out.